Are you living overseas but have trailing income from the UK, from restricted stock units or RSUs, for example? Hey, I'm Arch, one of the founders at Taxed, and we make tax filing easy for expats like yourself who are moving in or out of the UK. And in this video, we'll be taking you through how to file your tax return as a non-resident whilst declaring your RSU trailing income to HMRC. So for the technical watchers amongst you, this will include the SA 109 residence pages that cannot be filed with HMRC online, and including the SA 102 employment pages where we will declare the RSU income. Now you may already know this, but as a non-resident, you're only taxed on your UK sourced income. So that includes things like UK workdays, UK rental property, etc. Now, you may be living and working abroad. The income that you earned whilst abroad will not be taxable in the UK, so you don't need to declare any of that to HMRC. The UK will only be interested in your RSU or your UK sourced income. So if your RSUs relate to workdays that were performed whilst in the UK, we need to declare that to HMRC. Now, it's very common in these cases to be due a tax refund from HMRC. Now, that's generally because your employer may have withheld tax and paid this to HMRC, but not taking into account that you may still have your personal allowance even though you're living abroad. And this is a common question that we also get. Do I keep my personal allowance because I'm living abroad? And the answer is it depends. If you're a British national, you always get the personal allowance no matter where you're tax resident. In other cases, it does depend on your nationality and your tax residence. In any case, enter your details into Tax and we'll automatically calculate it for you. Now, before we get started, what do you actually need to file your tax return? To start with, you'll need your P60, or it could be a March payslip, or it could be an end of year statement that basically totals up how much income, how much RSU income you earned in the year and any taxes paid. This will be available from your employer. We'll also need some details around your number of days and work days in the UK. This is for the residence category. And then we also need a bit of personal info. So things like your unique taxpayer reference or your UTR, which is what's required to submit the tax return to HMRC. So now let's jump into the actual tax filing. When you're ready, just click start for free at taxed.co.uk. Then we'll start off by completing some introductory questions. Now this helps to build your personalized experience so you only see the questions that you need to. Now remember to tick resident of another country and also tick employed as your job status. This will unlock the relevant categories for the main tax return. And then when you're ready, you can create your account. And at this point, everything is going to be saved. So you can always come back to Taxed in the future if you don't want to get everything done in one sitting. So now we're on the main assessment. We'll start off by asking a few questions around your residency. We do cover a wide range of cases from split year to dual residence, etc. However, in this case, we're going to be playing the role of an individual who is completely non-resident, very little days in the UK. So I can tick one of the automatic overseas tests. I can then input my number of days and work days in the UK. And then I'm just asked a few more questions around my nationality and my current tax residence before I can complete the residence category and also include any notes if required. So that's the residency section completed. We can now start the employment category. So at this point, we just need a few details about your employer, things like your employer name, industry, etc. And then we'll jump into your actual income and your tax paid. This will be found on your P60 or your end of year statement. Once we've done that, we can almost hit no to any other additional benefits or expenses, and then we're good to go. That's the employment section complete too. Now, your main tax return is actually done. There's just a few categories like credits and deductions, the general category, where we ask a few more questions to see if there's anything else that we may have missed. But for most of you, this will be all that you need to complete, the residence and the employment category. So the next sections, you just need to go through it to tick off and confirm that none of the additional cases apply to you. Now we're on the personal info section. So this is just a bit of information about yourself, your address, etc. And then at the end, we ask for the UTR. Make sure that this is the correct UTR, and then we are good to go. And now we're on the finalizing your return category. This is the final section. So your tax return has already been prepped, so you can see how much you owe or how much you might be refunded from HMRC. If you do a refund, you can input your UK bank details here. Using a UK bank account is best, so then it's transferred to that account. If you don't have a UK bank account, HMRC can send you a check, but obviously that takes a bit longer. And then we'll get into the tax calculation itself. This showcases how we've calculated your tax refund or tax bill if you have one. and then we can go through it. And there's a few final questions around any additional information we want to send to HMRC before we can preview the full tax return itself. Now, once you're happy after you've had a look through the tax return, we can hit continue, and then there's just a button to hit submit to HMRC. When you press submit to HMRC, that's it. Your tax return will instantly be sent off to HMRC through a digital integration with our software and HMRC, and you will receive your tax return and the tax calculation PDF on your dashboard. And if you're due a refund, you'll get this usually within around 10 working days, but can be longer during HMRC's peak periods. I hope this video does help in showcasing how to file your tax return as a non-resident but with trailing income in the UK. But as always, if you have any questions, our team are here to support. Feel free to get in touch, and thank you very much for watching.